Imagine this. You wake up like any other day. You check your phone, and then you see it. $999 million. Not a typo, not a dream, not a scam email from a prince in another country. A real lottery ticket, a real jackpot. And now you have 24 hours to spend it before the money disappears forever. No bank account waiting. No, I'll think about it later. No second chance. Just one day to decide the future of your life. The crazy part? Most people think winning this kind of money would solve everything. But in reality, it could destroy you faster than being broke ever could. So today, let's step into the most extreme financial fantasy ever. What would you actually do if you won $999 million and only had 24 hours to spend it? And more importantly, what would wealthy people do differently from everyone else? Because the answer is not buy 10 Lamborghinis and disappear. That is how you go from millionaire to meme. Let's begin. It starts with a call. A voice says your ticket matched. Then another voice says the amount. You laugh. You think it is a prank. Then your hands start shaking because the number on the screen does not change. $999 million. Your heart starts racing. This is the moment every broke, stressed, overworked, sleep-deprived person secretly fantasizes about. The idea that one day, life finally says, your turn. You are not just rich, you are historically rich. You could buy mansions, islands, jets, cars, watches, paintings, and probably a small country if the paperwork was flexible enough. But then reality hits. You do not have years. You do not have months. You have 24 hours, and the countdown has started. Quick question. If you had $1 billion problem, would your first move be smart or stupid? Because that one choice changes everything. At first, you feel unstoppable. You open your laptop. You start searching for luxury homes. You look at private jets. You imagine yourself in a marble kitchen, wearing expensive sunglasses indoors, like some rich movie villain. But then the panic creeps in. You realize something terrifying. If you spend carelessly, this money can vanish faster than people's respect for a lottery winner on social media. Because wealth is not just about how much you get. It is about how fast you can make bad decisions when nobody is stopping you. And right now, nobody is stopping you. That is the danger. Most people think wealth creates freedom, but money without a plan creates chaos. So before you touch a single dollar, the first move is not flashy. It is not emotional. It is not fun. It is protection. First, you call the best financial lawyer you can find, then a tax expert, then a wealth advisor who does not wear a fake smile and say things like, "Bro, trust me." Because this is not a game. On a jackpot this large, the real enemy is not spending too much. It is losing control. The wealthy do not just ask, "What can I buy?" They ask, "What can I preserve?" That is the difference. So you move fast, you create legal structure, you isolate the money, you protect yourself from future lawsuits, scams, family pressure, and the 1,000 random people who suddenly remember your number. Because the moment the world finds out you won, your peace starts getting attacked. Cousins appear out of nowhere. Old friends become investment geniuses. Random strangers become business partners. And your inbox becomes a graveyard of bad ideas. Some people do not want your happiness. They want a percentage of it. So the first mission is simple. Do not let the money control the moment. You control the money. Now the fun begins. You make your list. A luxury house in Miami, a penthouse in New York, a villa in Los Angeles, a quiet estate somewhere private, a supercar collection, a few watches, a private chef, a travel budget that looks like a typo. At first, it feels exciting, but then something strange happens. Once you can buy almost anything, you realize most things are not actually what you wanted. You wanted freedom. You wanted peace. You wanted the feeling of never having to stress about bills again. You did not really want 14 bathrooms. You definitely did not need a gold-plated kitchen faucet. And you absolutely do not need a car so expensive that it makes you nervous every time it rains. This is the moment where billion-dollar fantasy becomes real financial discipline. Because if you spend like a person trying to look rich, you will end up poor very fast. But if you spend like a person trying to stay rich, the game changes. Still, let's be honest, you are going to buy something big, not because you need it, because after surviving the shock, you want one moment that feels unreal. Maybe it is a dream house. Maybe it is paying off your family's debts. Maybe it is buying your parents the kind of home they always talked about but never reached. That part matters, because wealth feels empty if it only serves ego. The smartest rich people make room for joy, but they do it with intention. So yes, maybe you spend $15 million on the perfect home. Maybe you set aside another chunk to upgrade your family's life. Maybe you give your parents the freedom they never had. That is not waste, that is legacy. But even here, there is a trap. The trap is thinking emotional spending equals meaningful spending. It does not. Buying 20 luxury items is not the same as building a life. And that realization hits hard, because now you have to choose. Do you spend to impress, or do you spend to create? That choice decides the rest of the 24 hours. Now the messages start. Everyone wants to talk. Everybody has an idea. A friend says, "Bro, we should invest in this startup." A cousin says, "I always believed in you." Someone from your past says, "Remember when we used to hang out?" And a random guy from Instagram says he can double your money in 6 months. Yeah, sure. That is how people lose fortunes. Not because the money was too small, because the noise was too loud. The truth is, when money shows up, people's real personalities show up too. Some people become protective, some become entitled, some become greedy, and some become strangely confident in other people's money. So now your job is not just spending, it is filtering. You need a system, you need boundaries. You need to say no faster than most people say yes, because every yes in this moment costs real money, and every bad yes can haunt you for years. Would you trust your broke friend's business idea if he still owes you $40 from 2023? Exactly. Here is where the pressure gets intense. You only have 24 hours, not 24 days, not 24 weeks, 24 hours. That means every decision feels bigger. You start thinking, what if I forget something important? What if I do not spend enough? What if the money expires and I miss the chance? And that fear can make you reckless. This is where most people would make the worst mistake of all. They would rush into buying too much too fast. They would panic spend. They would try to use it all up, like they are winning a shopping competition. But smart wealth is not built under panic. Smart wealth is built under pressure with a calm mind. So the question becomes, how do you spend hundreds of millions in a single day without acting like a cartoon character? Easy. You build layers. First layer, personal security. Pay off debts, secure housing, set aside private protection, build legal shielding, create privacy. Second layer, family support. Help your parents, siblings, and people you are truly responsible for. Not everyone who texts you, not everyone who believed in you. Your real circle first. Third layer, lifestyle. Buy the home, the car, the travel, the experiences, but do it with taste, not chaos. Fourth layer, capital preservation. Because if you won $999 million and spent all of it on things that lose value, you did not win money. You rented a fantasy, so you need to buy assets. Things that hold or grow value. Things that create income. Things that make your money work after the excitement fades. That is the billionaire mindset. Not, how do I look rich today, but how do I stay powerful for the next 30 years? Now let's say the first wave of spending is done. You already helped your family. You already secured a luxury life. You already handled the big emotional purchases. And for the first time, you sit alone, quiet. No notifications, no calls, no noise. Just you and the reality that your life is permanently different. This is the moment that sounds amazing from the outside, but in real life, it is heavy. Because now you realize something deep. Money solves money problems. It does not solve identity. It does not solve discipline. It does not solve loneliness. It does not solve fear. It does not solve purpose. That is why so many rich people feel lost after getting everything they thought they wanted. The money was never the finish line. It was the amplifier. And now your real self is louder than ever. That is terrifying and freeing. The clock keeps ticking. You can feel the deadline closing in. You have already done the smart things. You have already made the emotional moves. Now comes the final, most important decision. What kind of life are you building? Because a lottery win is not the end. It is the beginning of a new responsibility. You now have the rarest resource on earth, options. You can choose to live quietly. You can choose to build businesses. You can choose to invest in real estate. You can choose to create funds for your family. You can choose to support causes that matter to you. You can choose to build a life that does not collapse when the applause stops. That is what separates old money thinking from new money chaos. One looks for status, the other looks for structure. One chases the high, the other protects the future. And the future matters more than the thrill. So what does the smartest version of you do with the remaining money? Not random things, strategic things. You diversify. You secure long-term investments. You build income streams. You turn the jackpot into a machine. Because the goal is not to stay rich for one day. The goal is to stay rich for life. That means your money should begin working immediately, not sitting there, not flexing, not disappearing into lifestyle inflation. Working, growing, protecting, multiplying. This is where wealth changes form. It stops being a number and becomes a system. That is the shift. That is the real win. Now let's bring this back to real life. Most people watching this will never win $999 million overnight. But everyone watching this will face smaller versions of this test: a paycheck, a bonus, a side hustle win, a first big success, a sudden opportunity. And the same question will appear: will you spend like a person trying to impress people, or will you build like a person trying to become free? Because wealth is not created in dramatic moments alone. It is created in the decisions nobody sees, the quiet decisions, the disciplined ones, the boring ones that protect your future. So if you ever get a sudden windfall, remember this: do not rush, do not panic, do not perform. Protect first, then build, then grow. Because money can change your life, but your decisions decide whether it changes your life for a week or forever. And here is the part most people never think about. If you had 24 hours to spend $999 million, the real challenge would not be the money. It would be the person you become while spending it. Because once the world gives you everything you wanted, it also reveals what you were missing all along. And in the next video, I'll show you the exact financial mistakes that turn sudden wealth into instant regret. So the real question is, if this happened to you tonight, would you build a legacy or blow a fortune?